Good evening, everybody. Thank you very, very much for coming. It's an honor to be back here at Franklin. It certainly falls into the strange category to have been here, a little while ago as a student. I won't tell you what year I was here, but let's just say it wasn't in this building. Today we'll talk about the internet and specifically how companies are marketing successfully online. And we'll throw a whole bunch of ideas out. And in terms of questions, feel free at any point along the way if you have a question to go with it. Okay, so give you a little background on myself. We'll talk about a couple different things. One, what we would call search engine optimization. Another, search engine marketing. The importance of using analytics today to measure whatever you're trying to accomplish so that you know if you're doing a good job or not. We'll look at social media and how that has become a huge part of the online arena. And questions. Okay. Just a very brief background on me is that pretty much ever since I left Franklin and left school and I went to Tulane University besides when I was here, my focus has been in marketing. And as the internet became more and more significant and as it became obvious that search engines were the most intuitive way possible to bring a customer to a business, we started the company in 1999 and have been rolling pretty aggressively ever since. We're approximately 40 people. We're based in Boca Raton, Florida. We were named to the Inc. 500 for 2005 and 2006. And what they call the Inc. 5000 for 2007, and that's the 505,000 fastest growing private companies in the United States. Okay, just an interesting stat to show how significant the internet is today. These are internet users in the millions. Asia has 510 million folks online. Europe 348. North America 238, and it goes from there. So the number of folks that are using the internet as a core part of their everyday lives, and I know that in this room I'm speaking to people that are very dialed into the internet all the time, it's become the chief way for someone to find something that they need, to communicate with friends, to do research, etc. I stumbled across an interesting stat the other day. Active internet users disappear in February. Are people not using the internet anymore? That might be a question people ask after seeing that the number of active internet home users in big countries across the globe actually declined from January to February 2008. Switzerland realized the biggest decline. I'm just curious, any ideas why? Anything happening here? Television? Lots of snow to go skiing. Okay, there we go. All right. So we know that there are a tremendous number of folks, even with a small decline, that are involved in the internet. And here's a flavor for where they're using search engines to find what they want. It's probably not a surprise to anybody that Google runs the show. Google's share of search engines is roughly 55%. Which is staggering if you think about it. 55% of all searches are done on Google or on websites that Google powers, such as AOL. It's just the amount of market share that they have been able to accumulate over the last couple of years is incredible. It's equally incredible to me that MSN, with the power of Microsoft behind them, is at about 10%. Where did they go and miss the boat? I don't quite know. So then in addition to the big search engines, we also have localized search engines. So in doing some research for my presentation today, I know that there are local sites like this one for Lugano throughout Switzerland. And I imagine that if you're living here and you're doing a search, this may be something that you would look at some point along the way, in addition to using the Swiss version of Google and so forth. And it's interesting that the ads that you see are customized to where you are. So we'll talk more about that in a bit, but it's all about targeting. The more the better job of targeting one does, the greater the likelihood that your money spent in marketing online will be successful. Any questions on any of that? Okay. Very, very, very important would be that anything that you do to build a website and then to market a website, we want to make sure that we're doing under what are called white hat techniques. White hat means doing things in such a fashion that the search engines consider them to be okay or acceptable. Black hat, which is a term that is used widely within the internet, is used to describe a situation where people are doing things with websites, the goal of which being to trick the Google algorithm. And trust me when I tell you that there is not a lot of opportunity today to pull the wool over the eyes of Google. What are some examples of things that people do that are considered black hat? One would be a redirect. Anybody know what a redirect is?
Yeah, it redirects you to another site which actually has the content that you're searching for.
So a redirect, thank you. A redirect is where you think you're going one place, but the traffic is then sort of hijacked, if you will, somewhere else. That is not considered okay by the search engines. Whatever a searcher sees as where they think they're going is where they need to be sent. What might be duplicate content, and why would that be a problem? Duplicate content is where you might say, well, geez, if I get a website to show up in Google, that's great. Maybe I can put out 3 different versions of my website, and I'll have a better shot of getting one of them to show up in the search engines. Well, today, Google has done an incredibly effective job, and I use Google, but it's really any search engine, in being able to differentiate content. So that if you publish an essay, and then or a paragraph of text, and then you put it on another website, or you take text from someone else's website, they can tell that very easily, and you can be penalized within the search results for duplicate content. My company did a project a couple of months ago for the American Heart Association, which has a couple hundred websites that are under their umbrella. And their goal was to optimize their website to show up in the natural search results of Google and so forth. And as we sort of dug into the project, what we learned is they put the same stuff on 300 different websites. You can't do that. If your goal is to have a single website do well in the search engines, whatever's on that website content-wise needs to be unique. Any idea what a link farm is?
Or a page that has like hundreds of the same link on it.
Or a page that has hundreds of links on it that may or may not have any correlation to each other. So when in a few moments when we talk about optimizing a website for the search engines, one of the things that we'll speak about is links. But links need to be quality links, not links that have no relationship to whatever the website is that the link is coming into. If you are building a website for any purpose, I strongly encourage you to have a long-term mindset, not a short-term mindset. You may be able to do things that in the short term will boost your rankings for certain keywords, but it's been proven time and again that over the long haul, the search engines can differentiate quality efforts from non-quality efforts, and you will be penalized big picture if you're doing things that are not considered white hat or best practices. When you get right down to it, keywords sort of drive the entire process of search engines. The greater the correlation between your keywords and what your website is all about, the more successful you will be. When you are building out a website or looking at a website and trying to make it more search engine friendly, if you will, really give some thought to what does the website talk about. Look at the content of the site and figure out what am I saying. If you know what you're saying, then you know what keywords you should be targeting for your website.